Okay, I think we're live here. Are we live? All right, well, we'll just wait for a couple more seconds as people filter in here, and then we'll get started. Okay. Hello, hello. And hopefully everybody's having a wonderful Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday, so. All right, so I'm going to get started here. So thanks everybody for joining us. Today we're going to be talking about extended service providers or vehicle service contract providers and how RepairPal can work with you, your company, your contract holders, and kind of what we do best in this space here. So I'll just introduce myself quickly. I think we can go on to the next slide so you can see me here. So I'm Dan Pera. I'm the partner program manager here at RepairPal, and I've been here for it'll be 8 years in September. So as you can see, that picture up there, I started before I had a bunch of gray in my beard and hair. So that's what RepairPal does. But still love it, and we're still doing great stuff every year and moving things forward, helping consumers and companies with consumers find great high quality auto repair. So I started at RepairPal as a CSM. I was managing individual shops, so I got a great feel of kind of how they work and how they operate, what their needs are. So it was a great foundation before I moved on to helping manage our partnerships. And then I also want to introduce Andy Hajjar, who leads our partner support team and engagement. So Andy, say hi.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Dan. So as Dan said, I'm Andy. I've been with RepairPal. It'll be 10 years on July 1st. To Dan's point, we might need to update our photos because I think I had one chin in that photo and my hairline was a little further down. So, but look, it's been a great ride here. I started off in sales, was also a CSM, have weaved my way through, and I'm now happy to be part of the partner side of things. I'm the senior manager of our partner and consumer engagement teams. So basically, we want to make sure that your customers are having a terrific repair experience, all things considered. And so we're there to make sure that goes as smoothly as possible. So happy to be here as part of this call.
Yeah, and we're going to tease our special guest. Thank you, Andy. We're going to tease our special guest here. He won't say hi yet. We're going to hold him backstage, okay? So you're going to have to stick around to hear from the great Nate. So moving forward here. So we're going to go through kind of who we are in case you don't know or you need a refresher. Maybe you do know who we are and you just like us so much that you decided to join us today. So thank you. And then we're going to talk about, our network, how we have a fair price guarantee, how we provide value to partners, how Andy and his team provide partner support, how the referral process works, integration options, marketing, and some examples. And then we'll have a little chat at the end. Hopefully we get lots of questions. So start thinking about them now. So RepairPal's values happen to match up almost perfectly with Yelp's. So if you don't know, RepairPal was acquired by Yelp in December. We're a wholly owned subsidiary, and we're operating pretty much the same that we were before the acquisition. But here are our values, authenticity, protecting the source. So in this case, the source could be our partners, consumers that are going to RepairPal, our shops. So we're protecting all of that and playing well with others, right? We do that. Unboring. Nobody ever accused us of being boring over here and being tenacious. So that's us and why we're here. We are here to help consumers. So, look, it's a weird place for car ownership these days and keeping it maintained, right? Things are expensive. New cars with interest rates are kind of wild. Used cars, values going up and down. And then, of course, if you don't have all the cash to buy a used car, like you're still, subjected to those crazy interest rates. So people are holding on to their cars for a really long time now, and they need to continue to get them maintained. So some people are just like, hey, I'm going to keep this thing until the wheels fall off. There's still a lot of distrust of auto repair shops and, and dealer repair facilities as well. So yeah, people are in need of the service that we provide, and that's why we're here, and that's why we certify shops. So we began in 2007. Back then, we had some information on our website, and we had an estimator tool, but we didn't really have shops to send people to. So it was a great idea, but it wasn't really a money maker. In 2012, 5 years after RepairPal was founded, we started certifying shops. And 2017, we added some partners. Started with a large roadside partner, Hajjar, and kept going from there. In 2021, we hit 3,000 locations. 2024 hit 3,800. And then, as I said, in December, we were acquired by Yelp. And now, spoiler alert, we just hit 4,000 locations. So nice job us. And we are the largest trusted auto repair marketplace in the country. We are a three-sided marketplace. So on one side, we have partners. We have repairpal.com, people searching for auto repair help. And then we have our shops at the bottom. So that is us, and we bring everybody together to get cars fixed in a nutshell. So how do we certify our shops? What are these great shops that we're talking about here, and what else, what makes them great? So we put them through a pretty rigorous certification process. We make sure that they have the proper experience. They need to be open for at least 6 months. They need to be undergoing some kind of ongoing training. They need to be having the right equipment in their shop, using quality parts, either OEM when appropriate. But in the case of VSCs, we do encourage high quality aftermarket part. Customer sat, we do actually take a chunk of their customers, and then we'll actually put them through a surveying process. And before a shop gets certified into our network, we ensure that they're meeting a minimum 40 NPS to join our network. And not every shop qualifies. So a shop could have all the best tools and equipment and all of that, but if their customers are saying like, "Hey, this wasn't a great experience," then they don't pass cert. So that's a big part of it. The passing score average is somewhere in the 70s, which is quite high. And then sort of at the bottom, like a pass, no pass initially, like you need to have at least a year-long warranty or 12,000 miles. So if you got a 6-month, sorry, no dice, but if you're willing to raise that, then you can join. The actual average in our network is much higher. It's actually a 2-year, 24,000 mile warranty on all repairs that are done. So people are going to be standing by the repairs, and that goes for VSC work and claim work too. If the shop is sourcing the part, they're going to warranty that for at least a year-long warranty or 12,000 miles, and then they also warranty their labor, in case they've installed it incorrectly or something like that. Now, if in the case of claims, you reserve the right to ship a part, right? Especially big parts. So you can do that too. And then the shop will warranty their labor on it, but you as the the TPA or whoever's administrating that is going to carry the part warranty. And then, of course, our shops are fair priced. So we ensure that for the type of shop they are, where they are in the country, that their labor rate and their parts markup is fairly priced and assessed. So if you're a general make shop in Omaha and you're charging $250 an hour, you're not going to be appropriate for doing labor, doing warranty work, doing service contract work. So we actually monitor this quite often in the last year or so. Which, Andy, I'm gonna segue into you a little bit here, a little bit off script, but we've done a lot of cost controlling. And it's been a little painful for shops, and we understand why. I mean, the current environment for costs and shops making margin on service contract work is tough when we understand that. But Andy, do you want to just say a little bit about efforts for cost controlling and making sure that shops are labor rate appropriate, especially for service contract work?
Sure. Well, look, I mean, for a while, it was the Wild West. A consumer would come in and say, "Hey, I've got this policy," and we started to see where shops were out there going, "Okay, great." Then all of a sudden, there was the rise of the tech find issues. It was like, "Geez, while we're in here, we've got this open wallet, aka you all. Let's see everything we can find and really and get every dime out of this." That doesn't really scale. there's the rise of inflation, all these things. So, we had partners that came to us and said, wow, the cost of these claims are getting really outrageous. Is there anything you all can do to help us sort of get our arms around this? And so we really took a step back, did a lot of work looking at our shop's labor rates around this work, what was happening. I mean, there was a shop, I remember the day, there was a shop we found in there that was $350 an hour. And we're like, good Lord, this is not a great fit for this kind of partner. So, we like to pull those levers, and we don't say, geez, you can't be on RepairPal at all. We say, look, there are certain kind of partners where that kind of labor rate's not really going to be, it doesn't really make you a good fit. And this is that segment exactly. So we've done a lot of work around that, really trying to analyze what the averages are in states and certain pockets of these. It's a little different if you're in San Francisco than if you're in the Hemet, California. So we look at different things and really try to make sure that we're setting reasonable expectations for shops and really trying to help. And we try to help as much as we can there. So we've made a lot of progress with that, and we can now say that for our partners in this area, we've got a cost controlled network of participating shops, which is fantastic. So a lot of the painful conversations have already happened, and now we're kind of in maintenance mode there, but we've put a lot of guardrails around this to make sure it doesn't escalate out of control again.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. And then just so you also know, like, we are monitoring these shops on an ongoing basis. We do get surveys in. We do get sometimes consumers calling in. Sometimes we get our partners calling in or administrators saying, hey, I need a little help with this. If the shop is kind of like unwilling or unable to kind of budge and be fair priced or to play ball in the way that we expect them to, I mean, we will opt them out of the partnership. If they're being really inappropriate in some way, then sometimes we just remove them from the network entirely. So we're on top of it, and we follow up on every negative survey or every kind of negative thing that comes up. We get very few as far as like the amount of transactions, like the percentage that ends in some kind of escalation is very, very low, less than 1%, I believe. But we do follow up on everything, and that's what Andy's team does, which you'll talk about a little bit later. So here are all of our not all of our partners, but here's a bunch of them in the space. We have our friends from Endurance there. I mean, we're super proud of, especially, this top row is unbelievable. A lot of household names there. Hajjar as well as our largest tow provider. And we have lots of friends in the industry here. I do want to say that we do our best to remain agnostic in the space. We understand that there's a lot of providers out there and there are a lot of brands. We can help everybody the same, and we don't favor anybody over the other ones. What we're here to do is provide a solution for people that need auto repair, and we'll get into the different scenarios a couple of slides down the line. So providing you a cost-controlled, warranty-friendly network, making sure our shops are trained on your contracts, have all the information they need for a great customer experience, and to also save you a couple of bucks on your bottom line. So as you can see, the RepairPal overall NPS that we get back is 76, extremely high. I mean, just to think that we're up there with Costco, one of my favorite places on earth, is pretty cool, right? So we're very proud of how we're doing with customers who go through RepairPal. So we did hit 4,000 locations. So that's awesome. And we've been working really hard at that. Our sales team has been doing a great job. Our certification team has been cranking out shops as fast as they can. And we finally hit 4,000. So I would say that we are being strategic about where we're adding them at this point. Look, it's a big country. And there's a lot of shops out there. And we try to add them where we need them, AKA where our partners need them. So where your contract holders are, where maybe you have an independent selling dealer that sells a ton of contracts. We want to make sure that we're there to back that up, right? So we're focused, where people live. So urban and suburban areas is going to be our bread and butter. We'll struggle a little bit more with rural coverage, as it kind of makes sense, right? Because if you live in a rural area, there's only so many shops, and you probably know which ones they are. So, but we do our best to add shops where we need them based on our partner need. And we can create a customized network for you based on labor rate parameters or where you need the most. If you ship parts more than average, or your administrator likes to, then we can make sure that we're in a friendly shop environment for you, where they're willing and able to work with all of that. So I would mention that we have a couple of different tiers of shop networks for warranty providers. And so if you have we have, based on needs. So we have one where if you ship parts more often than not, I wouldn't say more often than not, but a little bit more than average, I would say. We have ones that are a little bit more open to that type of thing. We have one where the warranty labor rate is 150 or below, et cetera. And so the more parameters and the more restrictions you put on the network, the fewer shops that are going to participate. So just keep that in mind. But we are willing to kind of work with you and make sure that you have what you need and you have shops where you need the most. Okay. So I believe Andy, you're going to take over here, right?
Absolutely. So, look, Dan's just covered a bunch of great stuff we can do. And, we got to make sure we can support all of that, right? So we do have a dedicated partner support team. We're there to assist. It's auto repair, right? Sometimes things go sideways. So when that does happen, or if that does happen, we're there to help and make sure we get things back on track. We're really there, we want to help protect your brand, right? You guys are rolling the dice on us. You're saying, look, we have this trusted partner in RepairPal. We trust them with our customers. So we need to make sure that we're there to keep everything going right, provide the best experience, facilitate the best experience possible for your customers. So we do have, a dedicated phone line. We're there for any kind of support that you or your customers need or a shop might need around it. We also have a live chat team who's there to help as well. We have dedicated landing pages where we've got live chat. So and they're staffed, 7 days a week, in fact. So if you've got a customer that needs to schedule a repair and, we're out at, where Costco, I guess, back to Dan's point, on a Sunday morning, got out to their car and their check engine's lights on, they can log in, and we've got somebody right there to help assist them find a great shop in their area. Okay, so we're there to support all this. And story time. Awesome. Dan usually gets to do story time, so I'm happy I get to. So, delighting customers is what we like to do. So here's a couple snippets of what folks have said. So we've got Edward with his Mazda CX-5 in Sacramento. He said, I did not know about the RepairPal option, but your website and representative who phoned me explained how everything worked and helped schedule the appointment. It was so easy. I thought for sure something wasn't right, but to my surprise, I was the one who was wrong. It was just that easy. Bravo. Love that. Thank you, Edward.
I promise we didn't pay Edward.
We did not pay any of these folks. That's a good point. We've got Kim Marie with her 2021 Jeep Renegade in Las Cruces, New Mexico. It's a gorgeous place. The Guire Auto Service was so nice to work with. They were polite, clean, super friendly, and kept me updated on the status of my repair. I will be taking my car to them from now on. RepairPal was also very easy to work with for my warranty work. It was very appreciated. So thank you, Kim Marie. We appreciate you. So love seeing this. I mean, again, we have a channel for these internally, and we just post these because it feels good to see, and we love doing it. So, yep.
You, sir. Okay, so we talked a lot about delighting customers. So if you work with RepairPal and you are a service contract provider, so what do they get out of it, right? The contract holder. So they now have a trusted, high quality nationwide repair network if they can't or won't return to their selling dealer. So if they've moved, if they're on the move and they're out of the area, something goes wrong and they have a service contract and they can't get back to that selling dealer, there's now basically a solution that you've come up with for them. So it's in that scenario where there is a return to dealer mandate or like a radius, so like they have to come back or whatever. We understand that a selling dealer wants the work back. That's part of the deal, right? But now you have a plug and play solution so that they have a backup, right? That's what they call, the world of transient claims, right? So if somebody's out there and they are transient, they're in the wind, we want to make sure that you don't lose your bottom line on claims, either at an expensive third-party dealer that they end up with, or an unscrupulous shop that's overcharging, or kind of running up the score. So we want this RepairPal shop to be available to your customers in that scenario, right? And so that applies to pretty much all of them. So in the next scenario, there may not be a selling dealer. Maybe you're direct to consumer or something like that, or they sold the contract through an independent dealer who has a limited repair facility, or a lot of those smaller dealers, right? They either don't have a repair facility, or it's backed up, or they're focusing on reconditioning and getting cars ready for sale. So that customer now has an answer to, where can I take my car for repairs? So now you go to repairpal.com/your company name, and they find They find a location, and we'll get into the scenarios of how the customer will get the information there. If repairs are uncovered, if it's a maintenance item or something like that, it's transparent and it's fair pricing for them as well. So you can, feel free to recommend these shops to them for non-claim work. All of their repairs are going to be covered for a year, as mentioned before, and they're going to have great customer sat at that shop. So for you, the contract provider or the TPA, so you're going to be saving money on claims costs overall. So if you're just an administrator, we do partner directly with TPAs so that you have these shops available. It's a little tougher sort of by the time that you get to that claims process because the customer is generally in a shop already. So there is a little bit to be said for that, but I would say that once the customer is in there, and if it's at a RepairPal shop and you have access to labor rate data, you can verify those labor rates either kind of based on the integration, or we can provide you with a standalone page, and you're going to be saving costs on those claims. If you're a company that does both, right, that's great because then you have control over the whole process. You're selling that contract, you're administrating it on the back end, and so you have control over kind of what I like to call crate training the contract holder. Like initially, you need to provide them with the information like, hey, you can go to this RepairPal shop for repairs, or like if your dealer is backed up, here's where you go, that kind of thing. So I would also say that if you do have like a franchise dealer, for instance, and they're selling contracts, they would prefer, I believe, that if the contract holder can't come back to them, that they would rather have them go to an independent shop because there's no competing sales pressure or anything like that. There's no bad talking, and usually they're less expensive at an independent shop, and we make sure that they are, right. That's one of our kind of deals, is that they're fair priced and they're warranty friendly. So I think that a franchise dealer would prefer that a contract holder go to an independent shop over another dealer or something like that out there, and make sure that the loss ratios are good, etc. So and then of course we've got your back, and we will step in to help if anything goes awry. So how we would work with you all and your customers is that we do need to set up, some sort of integration and some sort of process. But the basic thing is the customer discovers they need a repair and they ask you where to go, or they go through their materials that you've sent them over the years, or they go to your website, or they pick up the phone in some cases, and they kind of are like, hey, where can I take my car? So we will have those tool sets provided to you, or we can go over the integration options in a couple of slides or so, and then we'll match the data, and then we give you credit for that on the back end. All right, so one of our options here is our landing page. So I alluded to that earlier. We can set it up within a day for you. It's repairpal.com/your company name. We'll put your logo on there. We have Endurance on this example. On the bottom right here, you can see that Andy's team of real live American chatters is available down there if you need help. And yep, they are full-time employees, not a bot. So we can also customize some of the language on here, and we can add disclaimers at the bottom, whatever you'd like. This is an internal use page, which many of our partners in the space use. So we've been calling this the agent page, but maybe that's a little confusing because there's agents involved in this industry. So maybe when we named it initially, it wasn't the best name, but we'll call it the employee shop lookup tool, which is also a great name, I think. And so what this page can do is you can go in here, you can search by make, by zip code, and then pull up a radius. And then you'll be able to see, like on this screen here, you can see a bunch of shop information. And then also, so like for this shop here, it actually exposes labor rate. So shops in San Francisco, so 210 isn't all that bad in San Francisco. So it's kind of a mess there, but you're going to be able to book an appointment on behalf of the customer if they'd like, or you can send a list. So over here on the right side, you can see that you can pick up several shops, and then you can email and or text that to the customer. So this is a great tool. You can verify that the shop is in RepairPal. Only shops that are going to be participating are going to show up on your page, right? So we whittle down the shop list to only ones that are participating so that no shops that don't want contract work will show up. Okay, so and then you can easily interact with your customers and verify things. If you can also see on here too, there's specialties and amenities. So you can actually filter down through things like EV, hybrid, tire services, transmission repair versus replacement, all these different kind of things. You can even find shops that have a shuttle or possibly a loaner car, speak different languages, things like that. So it's a really robust tool set here, and robust is one of my favorite words. Also, if you want to go all the way here, we have an API that you can use to customize your RepairPal shop list on your website or in your apps. So we have a couple examples here. 1-800 Warranty has it on their shop, as well as Endurance. And then we have a bunch of other partners that have done that as well and have used our API that does have scheduling functionality. And also we're building in real-time scheduling into that as well. So we're working on getting all of our shops enrolled in that. It's not going to be 100%, but our goal is to get the majority of our shops on real-time scheduling so that you're actually read writing directly into their system. You'll be able to see that. So that is, as we speak, being rolled out, and that will be available through our API. So the great thing about this is that if you put in a little extra time, you can make a custom skinned, repair facility section on your site, keep people off of the phone. It's going to look nice, and they'll be able to find a shop. Okay, and then we also do marketing. So there's a number of things we can do when we sign up a new partner. We love to do a press release. We can customize little marketing assets, or do, we could do we could do little like web things, like up here in this top right corner. We've been doing things on LinkedIn. We can do webinars like we're doing now. We could do a joint webinar. Our friends at Endurance, they do a lot of national commercials, and there's our friend Keith Benline, who's actually the owner of one of our shops. Case studies, we can have somebody come on a podcast. We can help you with custom emails, or even if it's something like, hey, we need a co-branded graphic to put on this web page here, and then we can link off to a landing page. If you want that, we can help you with that. So kind of sky's the limit there. And without further ado, I'd like to bring on my friend Nate Cizek from Endurance. Here he comes.
Buddy.
Hey, Nate.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
So Nate and Endurance, they're RepairPal Elite partners. So they're always kind of game to make sure that their contract holders are having a great experience, that they're saving money on claims costs on their bottom line. And we've undergone a lot of different kind of projects and things with Endurance. And so, so we're just going to kind of wrap a little bit about that. So why don't you tell us a little bit, Nate, about your role at Endurance and all of that type of thing?
Sure. Well, again, thanks for having me. I've had the pleasure of working with Endurance in a few different capacities over the last 15 plus years. So I've gotten to participate in the growth of the company from 50 people to now over 1,150 people. And that all started back in 2009 when I started leading the direct-to-consumer sales teams. And then more recently was the managing director of a bolt-on acquisition back in 2018. I used to go back and forth to St. Louis every week, which was fun. And then in 21, took over the operations in the chief operations officer role. And then now they needed some help in sales again. So back in the chief commercial officer role, started just last year back in 2024.
That is it's a robust history, my friend. So let's talk about Endurance and RepairPal. So it's been a while, I don't know, 5-6 years, something like that. So how did it come about? Like, what were some of the key needs that Endurance felt that they needed, and how did it all kind of come together and help your contract holders?
Yeah, well, it really started back in 2019, and we used it as more of an outlet for when a shop could not perform the repair needed, or may have been having a tough experience at a shop. Some of the stuff that Dan spoke to earlier, we knew that we had a network where we could direct customers to that had great national coverage, where we'd have a more positive experience. So on the direct-to-consumer side, the customers typically have something wrong with their car, they go into a shop, then that initiates the claim process. But more recently, it's all about customer experience, right? And so what we've tried to do is get people introduced to the program, our customers, that is, before they need that first repair. And
Great
so, but yes, exactly. So being on the sales side, when we consummate a sale, we mentioned that. Really what we've seen is that can reduce a lot of the upfront friction we see in this industry. It's not always negative or bad, but it just could be confusing. Not every shop is familiar with vehicle service contract providers or the contracts themselves. It's not even a household name for every consumer nationwide. And so to remove that upfront friction when a customer buys our product and then is in the position to use it, we wanted someone who is familiar with that at the shop level so that can be a seamless process. And so when we have that familiarity between the shop and our customer and the desire to work with the vehicle service contract holder and understanding of the industry, we've seen a better customer experience, and they're telling us about it.
Yeah, I think that it's unique. Not all of our partners have integrated mentioning RepairPal into the sales process. So some might, but I think it's a great tool. Do you want to just talk about any specificity in the sales process and how your team is mentioning as in those calls?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing we had to do was talk about it with the customers, right? They don't know about it unless you tell them about it. So we get and make a lot of telephone calls from customers who are interested in this product. So our salespeople are proudly mentioning it, mentioning our partnership to the customers when they complete a sale every single time. We haven't had to really push our people to do that because it really has resonated with the customers, and they feel like they're going to go to a place that's going to understand what they have and it's going to be honored. So that was the main first push, was mentioning it to the customers fearlessly and proudly, and we've done that. The second one really is that self-service option. I think you've alluded to it earlier in this presentation, but we've integrated the RepairPal network into our homepage. So a customer can log onto their homepage, log in and find a RepairPal shop just by going to our website. So when they need a repair, if they don't feel like calling us, they can go right there, schedule it at a local shop, and get in there with no problem.
And I think keeping people off the phone is always a great plan. However, I think that segues nicely into our next kind of topic, which is we've collaborated on a few initiatives, and we tried some different things. But Endurance is going to uniquely use one of our products, which is Car Genius. Car Genius, for those who don't know, and there will be a slide about this in a second, is our mechanics hotline staffed by ASE experts that have worked in shops and know their way around cars, and also have good car side manner, as our boss Kathleen would say. So they're able to help people with mechanical questions or like what to expect before going to shops. But Endurance is going to be using them for those who are on the phone and might be a little bit more tech averse, and offering sort of a white glove service. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, Nate?
Yeah, so Car Genius, it's going to be a great option for our customers. So a lot of our customers, we sign up via the telephone, and that's a medium in which they're comfortable, right? And so what they'll soon be able to do is, when their car is acting up, is just give us a call, and Car Genius, with their mechanics that'll be answering the phone call, will be able to do a quick triage, diagnose the problem if possible, and then find a RepairPal facility close to them that they know is in our program, will anticipate and welcome the service contract and get the job done well, and go ahead and schedule it for them. So we're always focused on the customer experience. And so if they have a claim using our product and that goes incredibly seamlessly and they don't have to do much, we tend to have a customer for a very long time. And that's what Car Genius is allowing us to do. And we're excited to get that rolling.
Yep. It's going to be very cool. So we're excited to have that rolling as well. So, I mean, if you were to speak to other people in the industry here that have a similar need, what would you say about RepairPal, key benefits, and all of that type of thing? And I'm assuming we're not just speaking out into the ether, and there's some actual guests in the industry. So I guess you could talk directly to them.
Yeah, well, a few of the things that you've mentioned is, you're getting a vetted repair shop, and we know you guys are just on top of it. When a repair shop is doing great work, they're part of the program. Should there be a shop that isn't, which I'm sure is very rare, then that gets addressed. So when you have a customer, you can send them to a place where you know they're going to be treated well. And again, removing that upfront friction is really, really impactful. They come in, they're anticipating that contract, and it's just easy. There's no explaining. You don't have to make extra phone calls. We reduce the number of interactions between customer, shop, and claim adjuster, and it gets done more quickly. So that's the biggest and first and foremost thing that we look to do and accomplish is improve the customer experience. And then also they can schedule the repair themselves. They can give us a call into soon to be Car Genius to schedule it for them, so they get that white glove approach. And when they get to that repair facility, they're going to expect them coming. So really for us, what we focus on is customer experience and world-class customer service, and this helps us deliver it in a place we used to have a little bit less control.
Awesome. Well, thank you for all that, Nate. We'll probably hide you and then bring you back at the end. So I appreciate all your candor, and we will talk in a couple of minutes.
Great, thanks.
Okay, so kind of what we alluded to here with Nate is that we actually offer training, and it's not just for sales agents, but that's what this slide is about. So I actually had the privilege of doing some virtual trainings for Endurance and for Nate's team, and it was great. I actually learned a lot about it, and I learned a lot about kind of what customers are interested in, and some of them hate dealers, and they're relieved to know that there's an independent repair option as part of their contract. So I found that all very interesting. But yeah, I mean, we do get around. If you ever want to do anything in person training, and not just for sales agents, but for the people that are customer service based or claims, we can do that in person, or we can do virtual as well. And we'll give everybody an overview of tools. But I think just kind of socializing this concept within your teams is important. You want to get buy-in, and you want to get people mentioning that to contract holders throughout the contract ownership process. So I'm going to have Andy here. Oh, perfect timing. Yay. The joys of working at home. It's okay. I can talk about it too.
It's okay. Hopefully they'll calm down for a second. Yes, it's it never fails. Dogs.
Yeah.
So we've talked about Car Genius, right? And I think they touched on a couple of really good points here, which was, phone support for meeting people where they're at. If they called in, that's what they want. Nothing more frustrating than text messaging somebody and they pick up the phone to call you back, right? So we want to make sure that we've got the right levels of support for where people need them. So we've got our Car Genius team for that. And he also said, something about, making you more comfortable. Something that we see a lot in customer reviews that we get is they say, look, this isn't an everyday experience for me, needing car repair. I haven't needed it in a while. I didn't even really know where to start. It was such a relief to have somebody that I could talk to and then call back if I had another question down the road, an actual real person. We hear back from people often. They say, oh, hey, just want to call back. My, grandson did end up having his, new baby and whatever. I'm like, oh, geez, that's great. So we're really able to connect with people in a lot of meaningful ways, which feels good about this. These are people that don't really know what to do. So, we're here to provide people with advice, basically. Not, don't call us if you're underneath your car in the driveway and you're doing a DIY job where there's a liability there. We're not equipped to really help you with that. We can find you a good shop to get your car to, though. So, you don't end up in a situation. But we're here for that. If they say, look, what should I expect when I go to the shop? We can say, here's what to expect. Or, hey, look, make sure you tell them that they're going to want to do a diagnostic when your car is cold, because that's when it sounds like it's happening. Just things to kind of help people out with. People will call us and say, hey, I've gotten an estimate from the shop. This seems high. Does this seem right to you guys? And we'll go through that with them and kind of help explain some stuff. So we're really there to help kind of be just a shoulder to lean on for folks as they're going through the process. If they need it, we're there to help them find the exact right shop for their repair, not just any shop. We've got a dedicated phone line for each of our partners. So when they pick up the phone, they'll say, hi, thanks for calling, Car Genius through Endurance. This is Andy speaking. How can I help you? Right. So we want to make sure that we kind of deliver that brand continuity through there. So we're identifying, through the partner and everything, which is great. And then, we're there to back all of this. And I think the most important thing is this is a free perk for you guys to offer your customers or your employees. So this is of no charge. We really want to provide a value add that's unique, a unique offering for our partners, not just whatever's out there. So it is free. We'd love people to leverage it where possible.
Yeah, great point. I was going to mention the free part too, but look, there's a lot of contracts out there. There's a lot of companies. Everybody's competing in the same space for kind of all the same vehicles. So this is how you kind of set your contracts apart. And I understand that sometimes there's concerns about like, oh, are they going to get into coverages, or like, oh, is this part covered? We're not going to do that. We may speak in generalities like, oh, wipers are usually not covered, or batteries are usually not covered, which, I mean, unless there's some sort of add-on to contracts, they're not, and we get that. So they'll walk people kind of through the basics and what to expect when they get into a shop. The shop's going to need to diagnose this. They're going to need to call in for approvals. Hi, I'm sorry, it's Saturday. They might be closed. So there's a lot there. So our card genii, plural, will be able to help set expectations there and get people to the right place. So I hope that you've been thinking about what to ask us, and that you'll fire in some questions here. But in the meantime, please connect with us on LinkedIn, and then we're happy to chat more. If you want to go through and get a more in-depth demo, we can do that as well, and kind of go from there. So I don't know if I can see questions, so maybe I don't want to go full screen, or I can see if people type things in. I think I can see. Let's see. Standalone page to see labor rates in the area. Yeah, that was the last comment there. Yeah, so anybody have anything else that they would like to ask, or anything else? You got a message, Shields? Okay, so how do you get a page for associates? Well, first of all, we do like to make things official and get a contract in place just so everybody is protected. It's actually quite easy. And so we have a pretty standard process there. So I'd love to chat more. But yeah, I mean, all we need basically is a general outline of your program, what to expect, and then also a logo. And then we can get your pages set up. And then we can also kind of go through, get everybody trained up, and yeah, it's quite easy to stand up pages for a partnership. Do we take into consideration where plans are being sold on when looking to vet shops? So thanks, Frankie. So in some cases, yes. Now, if it's about coverage, if it's about adding shops nearby where contract holders live, then yes, absolutely. So we do ask our partners occasionally for like a zip code analysis, or like a list. So if you give us either cities and states with like how many contracts exist in that city or in that zip, we do take that into account. And then we will go through and try to add shops in that area. Absolutely. So now as far as any other types of attributes there, usually, special request, let us know what you need and we'll try to work through it. Will, how do we centralize data coming back from shops who operate on different POS systems? We organize all data sets for shops that aren't on the same POS to use OCR, organizing into tables. You got me at the end of this webinar with all these acronyms, Will. So I would say, so we are connected to a majority of our shops, shop management systems. As you may know, it's kind of the Wild West out there with the SMSs. And so we are connected to like 65% of our shops via a utility. Optical character recognition. Wow. I'm going to phone friend offline, and then we can talk more about it because I don't have the answer for that. We do match based on certain attributes. So like, for instance, if we get a lead with the customer's name and we get phone number, then we match up against that. So that's how we attribute leads back to our partners. And if we don't have a data connection, we manually verify. And then some of our shops as well just pay per referral. So you would get credit for the program based off of that. So I'm glad you came, Will. I've been meaning to talk to you. So we'll chat offline. Any other questions? And then also just upcoming events. If you're going to be at any of these things, would love to get together and chat. So our next event is going to be NIADA in Vegas. So we will be there. And then some of us will be at Fall Leadership Days in DC. Hey, Christelle. And then you can see the rest of those on there throughout the rest of the year. Are there parts or pricing restrictions for shops like OE versus aftermarket when dealing with the various warranty provider rules? Is there an interface that shops can use to easily find the basics when it comes to warranty provider rules? So we do, when we have a warranty provider, we do ask that they go through an SOP document, and we provide that to shops in our resource center so that they're able to kind of see what the rules are there. So Andy, you can probably help me out here a little bit, but we do encourage our shops to not use OE parts unless that's the only thing available with contract work. It is up to the customer if they want to splurge on an OE part and the administrator is only covering an aftermarket part or something like that. The customer can choose to pay a little extra to upgrade to that part. We, just in the interest of shops being able to make a little bit of margin, marking to MSRP or list price, we do encourage them to use an aftermarket part here with service contract work so that they have a little bit of margin on the part. And that's our standard sort of recommendation. But we don't restrict them from using one or the other. We ask that they use quality parts. Anything else about that, Andy, that I'm...
No, I think, to your point, we do try to understand with each of our partners. We remember that slide, several back where we had all those logos, right? So with each of those partners, there's going to be a nuance somewhere. So, we can't ask shops to memorize all of that. So when an appointment does come in and it's in the shop's dashboard, we have very clearly indicated which partner that is through. And there's a link to an article in our shop resource center that kind of outlines any specifics or nuances to that partner. So we want to make sure that, if you're somebody that says, look, we really only want to, cover OE parts because we think the comeback rate on the failure rate on those will be less or whatnot, right? We'll indicate that so that a shop knows how to operate within the constraints of the partnership that we're referring to. So, what's appropriate for one might be completely off base for another. So, we try to make as much work as possible, and we just do that through education and various marketing and outreach campaigns where needed. Yeah,
and as I mentioned, the standard guidance and what administrators will likely pay is list price for parts. So this isn't going to make a shop rich out there doing service contract work necessarily. And some of them will have these parts matrices, and they're trying to always make certain points on a repair or whatever. They may not be appropriate for this type of partnership, and some are not. There are some groups out there that have certain practices that are not opted into our warranty programs because of the margin that they try to make on parts. Some administrators are asking now for invoices on parts. But yeah, the guidance by most administrators is going to be MSRP on an OE part, and that's the opportunity for the shop to make a couple of bucks with a high quality aftermarket part there. Yeah. Cool. Anything else from anybody? Otherwise, why don't we bring Nate back out here just to wave goodbye? And I'll just wait. I'll filibuster for a couple more seconds here. And I don't know if, Nate, you want to say anything else before we sign off?
Yeah, just great presentation. Looking forward to just expanding the relationship, going a little bit deeper, integrating Car Genius. It's been a great ride so far, and I'm glad to see it ramp up over the last year and a half.
Thank you, sir. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for your engagement. Thanks for the questions at the end. Thanks for showing up. And also, we will put this recording, on LinkedIn and various other channels. So if you know anybody in the industry that might benefit from this, go ahead and fire off the link to somebody else, and we're happy to help. So I think that's it. Thanks for coming, Sandy.